my name is Christina Ignatius. I am a certified floral designer and educator in Scottsdale, Arizona. I wanted to thank Florist Review for giving me this opportunity to show you how I make my floating paper structure. In front of me here is everything that you're going to need to make this structure. It's reusable, it's great for corporate work, lovely on a dining room table or in a foyer. It's reusable with the seasons. It's beautiful as a standalone piece or decorated with flowers. So let's get started. The supplies that you're going to need to create this are a sandblasted piece of grapevine, about a third of a roll of floral mesh from Oasis. I've used this gold so that it's decorative because you will see it. This beautiful mulberry paper, which you can get at any paper store. I happen to get mine from Thailand. They have an array of beautiful pieces, so I've picked this one for today. You'll need a drill with a drill bit that's just a little smaller than the wires that you're going to make. Some black Oasis Bulldog tape. You're going to need some European stub wire. This is a 1.8 gauge. You're also going to need a test tube filler, some Oasis natural bind wire, Oasis adhesive strips, these are the rectangles. You're going to need number 53 water tubes, and you'll need 12 of those, or 15. You're also going to need some tools. You're going to need some wire cutters. These end cutters are very helpful, and also an oldie but a goodie, a Swiss Army knife. The first step you're going to need to do when you're making this floating paper structure is measure out what size you're going to need of your Oasis mesh. Earlier I said you're going to use about a third of a roll, which is true because it's 3 feet, and I usually use just about a little over on each side because I do want a beautiful flow. So it's not an exact science, just eyeball it, and however you feel it matches, that's where you go. So I've pre-cut a little bit of where I like it, and I'm just gonna take my wire cutters and cut right through this. I learned an amazing trick that you can also use a paper cutter for chicken wire or mesh, which if you don't want to sit there, or if you're making a lot of these at one time, that might be a nice way to do this. So how we're gonna take this is we're gonna fold it in half like a hot dog. And we're essentially making just a very large pillow out of this. And we're gonna take some bind wire, which I've pre-cut, a very fast way to cut bind wire in pieces that you need. It's just to wind it around your hand like this. And then go ahead and take your wire cutters and cut. So this is good if you're testing or you're competing and you need a lot of little bits fast. You don't want to sit and cut one by one. You can just get a whole bunch of them, just like that. And as I said, we're going to fold this hot dog wise. And I'm going to take my bind wire and I'm just going to start attaching those together, just like this. This is where the end cutters come in. What they do is they really secure this bind in place. And then you can just cut off the tails all in one swoop. And it's just a very efficient way of doing that. So I'm just going to continue on with this, and I'll meet you back here in a second. So now that you've secured your end here, I'm going to go ahead and crumple in, that's a very technical term, crumple in, the ends, because I don't want anything poking out while I'm arranging. And I'm going to do the same on this side. As you can see. So now we have this pillow here, which is going to be very, very helpful. What I love about this is its malleability. You can get a lot of beautiful flow, beautiful movement from this. just as is. So next what we're going to do is take these Oasis adhesive strips, the U-glue strips, and you're going to go ahead and go on the top and on the bottom of your pillow here. Evenly spaced. I've used hot glue for this before, and I've reverted back to these U-glue strips because they're just so convenient. They're very clean, they're very sticky, and they do the job very well. I've also used floral adhesive, which is great, but I don't like that it's honey colored and sometimes it bleeds through the paper, and I don't want to see that mechanic. So I have just found that these U-glue dashes serve this purpose the best. So I've laid them all out on the bottom, just like that, and now I'm going to go over on the top. And I'm just going right on top of the other one and I'm sticking them together. I've tried using this with only one, and it's okay, it's not great, so that's why I'm going over it again with this. Then you just have two opportunities to really get that paper adhered on. And there you have it. It's compressed, so I'm going to go ahead and pull it apart to give me two layers, because next up we're going to attach the water tubes. So we're going to take our number 53 water tubes and we're going to start placing them in our nice pillow here. So how I prepare these is I take that bind wire that I've been pre-cutting and I wrap it around and give it a nice twist a couple times on the top and bottom. It's always good to secure it in two places for this application, because if you just did it once and you put your flowers in, they have a lot of wiggle room. I don't really want that. I want them to be placed where I place them. So I go ahead and just prepare all of my water tubes ahead of time. Just nice and efficient that way. So you can see I just have two bind wire attachments. And then I start in the middle and I will fold the bottom down so that I can put it through. And then I find a place at the bottom. I push my tubes pretty far down. And then I just find a place where I can get it in this mesh. And I go ahead and I attach it at the bottom, and then I attach it at the top of the pillow. So after I get this one done, I can pick it up and show you. So as you can see, it's attached here at the bottom of this pillow and it's attached up here at the top. Again, I put them all in and then I will go back and take my end cutters and give it a really nice good twist and cut so that it's a nice finished look, just like that. So I usually go heavier in the middle with my tubes and then I lessen them as they go out. The more tubes you put on the ends, the heavier that your mesh will become. If you like that drape, go ahead and fill it up. If you just want a slight movement, I usually just kind of stagger them in a wavy line. And I do have one towards the end because I do like that extension, but that's just how I do that part. To begin the mulberry paper, we're simply going to rip it into shreds. You just want really nice pieces, and I don't fret so much about the straight edges. I tend to use those towards the center of the structure because they're not really seen then, and then you don't have to worry about that contrived line. You can still get this nice, beautiful movement on the ends. So I go ahead and I just tear this apart. I usually use, depending on the size of the floral mesh, a page to a page and a half to 2 pages of this mulberry paper. And you can see I'm just making it into not very uniformed, but just beautiful pieces. And I put this in a pile. Even these ones that are straight, I do the same. Those are good for the ends. And I just make a nice pile of these so that I have lots to choose from as I'm adhering it to the floral mesh. So now is the fun part. You have to take all of the strip papers off. So I simply peel off all of the top ones first. And since the glue kind of just sticks to the glue, it's pretty easy to remove them. If they're not, just go ahead and pinch them together and then they'll stick, just like that. I think it's much easier to do the water tubes first, then go in with the paper. Ask me how I know. Tried it both ways. This is the easiest. So as you can see, I'm just going to take a beautiful piece of paper and I'm going to stick it right on the sticky. And like I said, any of those straight contrived lines, if you go ahead and put them towards the inner center, they just disappear. So you'll just have this lovely movement on the end. So you don't have to worry too much about those. I'm just sticking it down. Here's another straight edge that's going to go right in the middle. So here it is so far. Now you're going to go ahead, since you have that paper that's sticking to, we'll take off the bottom. And you can see how well placed these water tubes are. They're not falling out because of that 2-point attachment. They're very, very sturdy. So it's starting to look like a cloud here, which I think is just so very beautiful. As you're going around, if you feel any stickiness, go ahead and add another layer of paper. Just like that. And here's one side of it done. I'm going to continue all the way around on this side and I'll meet you back here in a second. In this next step, we're going to go ahead and attach our paper structure that we've made to our sandblasted grapevine. So I measure it roughly with my eye and see where this piece comes up, this piece comes up. What I like to do is hide my mechanics as best I can in the pieces that stand up, just to give the illusion of that transparency and that floatingness in your design. So roughly I'm going to measure it here, just about here. And as you can see, I've pre-drilled 2 holes in this grapevine. One here, very close to this piece that comes up, and then one here that matches this piece. So what we're going to do is make a a spine of sorts so that our paper can rest and have a little bit of structure so that it doesn't just completely drop down. So I'm going to go ahead and take 6 pieces of this 1.8 stub wire. I'm going to take my black bulldog tape or my waterproof tape. If you're kind of an oldie but a goodie like me, it's bulldog tape. And I'm just going to go just about, maybe 2 handfuls up. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this with the bulldog tape, not all the way down, because I want to keep this open or this untaped so that it can easily fit into these holes that I've drilled. If you tape it, it might become slippery, and we want to avoid that. Then what I do is I take my bind wire and I start wrapping it. It can be more organic looking. It doesn't have to be perfectly done. I do want to cover all of the black tape. But then in the spine, if a little black shows, I'm okay with that. So like you're going to create that spider web, instead what we're going to do is we're just going to bend 2 pieces one way, 2 pieces another way, and then I would like to bend these at a crossbar, and then I will cut them down a bit because my narrowness of the paper structure, this is just going to be enough to loop it in. And then I will run my bind wire all the way down to the end so I can get it nice and tight in there, and just wrap, wrap, wrap. So I finished wrapping one of the spines, and I'm going to insert it into the hole that I drilled. Now, just to make sure that it's extra secure, I will go ahead and put another piece of bind wire, which really won't be seen because it's going to blend in, but I just really want it to be extra secure. So I'm just going to bind it around this piece that comes up, and then go ahead and clip off my ends so it's nice and finished. As you can see, this is going to hold it very nicely, but I'm also going to do this the same that I just did. I'm going to duplicate it again so that I have an extra one for this hole, and that's just going to really stabilize my piece. So I'm going to do that next, and I'll meet you back here. So I've added in the extra support, and I went ahead and wrapped a little piece of bind wire just to give it that extra support. And now's the fun part where we get to attach it. So as you can see, this spine is malleable. So as I set my piece on here, I'm going to take it and either wrap it in the spokes and bend it down wherever I want it to go. Go right through that paper and then back down just to really secure it in. And then there's also this one. So what's great about this is this really is going to give the illusion that this structure is floating in the air. Because we've utilized these pieces here, which you can bend and adjust to make sure. And you can fix any pieces that you want that have come unstuck, or just just kind of fuss with it, as you can see. If you wanted to go ahead and bind these pieces in as well, you can absolutely do that. I'm not going to do that today, only because I want to show you as you take these off and cut that bind wire support off, like so. If I can find it in here. Go that right here. These then become removable. So for transportation and that, if you have a large event, you can make 12 of these, have these grapevine, and then when you get to your event, you can just pop them right into these pre-drilled holes, maybe secure it with another piece of bind wire, fill it with your test tube filler, and flour it, and it's a really quick and easy setup and delivery. So by the magic of this video, I've already made another structure, which is this one here. It's a little bit bigger and it's got some more tubes in it. But as you can see, same thing, just as I'm going to do. I'm going to put this piece here. Actually, it goes this way. So this piece goes in here. This one went in here like this. And I'm going to take that bind wire, wrap it in nice and tight so that it's not going anywhere. Clip off my ends so that's nice and finished. Do the same for this piece. I think these would just be beautiful on a table for a wedding, corporate, a golf event. And then again, since this is Oasis mesh, it too is malleable. And you can see, and you can bend these wires in so that they contour to that grapevine. Bring that up for you. And then here you go, you can see it's not going anywhere. And we'll take our test tube fillers and then go ahead and fill up these water tubes, which is also quite fun. This would be great at a reception desk because it will need some water daily depending on what product you use. Now, I do think that this would be very beautiful with dried product as well. Being that I'm in Arizona, it's very, very dry here. So we like to incorporate a lot of dried products or a lot of drought-friendly products. So succulents would be wonderful in this. So I'm just going to continue filling these up. I'll meet you right back here. So now that you have your structure all completed and it's not going anywhere and the water tubes are full, you get to flower it now. So today I'm using really beautiful product from the Arizona Flower Market. I'm using fresh flowers and I'm also going to incorporate some dried as well. Because I want this flower arrangement to have some longevity to it, I'm going to use some more premium flowers that may not last as long, but then go ahead and add in some of the dried to give it some longevity. So here we have these dahlias, and I'm adding the larger, heavier flowers towards the middle. Versus putting them towards the end and really weighing down my arrangement. And I want to make sure that it's beautiful from the front and the back. So I will be designing it towards you, but I also want to have it look pretty for anybody else. That's okay. Just gonna go over here. Ornithogalum arabicum is my favorite flower. It has beautiful black centers with little yellow pollens on it, and it will continue to bloom as it goes. And it's just really fun. And since we're using the lighter colored paper, I think it pulls together nicely. I also have some gomphrena, which will dry. And it's just a very fun, whimsical flower. As I'm making this arrangement, Pantone just announced that their color of the year this year is Mocha Mousse. So I had an idea to maybe take some coffee that I did not drink this morning and submerge this paper in it to give me sort of a tea-stained or coffee-stained Mocha Mousse edition. I might do that still. Stay tuned. So as you can see, I'm putting the lighter flowers on the ends because I don't want it to weigh too much on my piece. I also have this very nice butterfly ranunculus. This lasts forever, in my opinion. It's that very pretty peachy tone. And these flowers just sort of have a movement of their own, and they just dance. They're just wonderful. So I love adding in butterfly ranunculus. This is also great for a stage demonstration because you can make your structure ahead of time and then flower it, which doesn't take too long, and then you can look at this ranunculus too. So beautiful. So I have butterfly ranunculus and then I have standard ranunculus as well. I think when you can add in different varieties of the same flower, it's very interesting. Or if you were to add scabiosa pods and then scabiosa flowers, I think that that's just great. Keep it a little shorter. I really make sure that these stems are all the way to the bottom so they have the best fighting chance to get water. And then I also have this Stella flower. Now, as you order Stella flower, it comes in and it's this really beautiful red, pink, raspberry color. However, if you let it dry, as we do in Arizona, it becomes a beautiful orangey, peachy, salmon, even flecks of yellow in there, which I think is very exciting. And this just adds a very fun texture, different element. What I love about this flower too in particular is it's grown in between the Colombian and Venezuelan mountains, and it's revitalized the economy down there. So anytime I hear something like that, I definitely want to support the industry any way I can, but that's very good. Also adding in some dried sea oats, which again just have this very beautiful daintiness to them and a great movement. I think it plays well with sort of this lacy paper that we've used. You can see it's just light and airy and pretty. So I can put this even towards the end and let it be very dramatic and cascade off, which is great. It does not need a water source, obviously, because it's dried, but you can still use the tubes. I also have some cute bunny tail. Again, bringing up that beautiful rustic wood tone up through this arrangement with these bunny tails is going to give your eye the ability to move up and down and really see the continuity of the arrangement. And again, another fun texture to play off of the contrast of these spiky stellas. really teeny tiny lotus pods that are dried. I really love incorporating dried elements to my pieces, again with the grapevine bottom, but these are just so adorable and darling to add in. So I just simply break them. You don't even have to cut them with your knife. And they don't need a water source. They will wick up a little bit of water, which is fine. And then just for some levity and some vitality to the arrangement, I'm also going to add a bit of, this Queen Anne's lace here that I forgot about. But again, I do want a little bit of vitality. I do want a little bit more white besides the Arabicum Star of Bethlehem here, because I, again, want to bring up that look from the paper. And it's just another lacy, beautiful flower. And it does last surprisingly well here in Arizona. I'm going to turn this arrangement around so you can see what I'm looking at and I can see what you're looking at. And again, just making sure that those stems are going as low into those water tubes as possible. We want to give them every fighting chance to last as long as they can. So with this Plumosa, what I'm going to do, it's again very beautiful, very great. However, I do like to tailor it down because I want a clean line of this Plumosa with just a fleck of greenery that kind of can just shadow over the top of the arrangement and shelter these flowers. Really gives it some more interest. So I just read my product to see which way it's orientating, and that's kind of how I decide where it's going to go. But really severely tailoring it down does wonders. Carrying this green out to the edges is really beautiful too. Have a beautiful Japanese mulberry paper floating structure with dahlias, stella, ranunculus, both the butterfly and the standard, dahlias, gomphrena, Queen Anne's lace, Ornithogalum arabicum, some lotus pods, bunny tail, sea oats, Queen Anne's lace. It's just a really, really beautiful piece. Again, thank you again to Florist Review magazine for this opportunity to make this beautiful Japanese floating paper structure. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making this.